Talked to Mike all by myself because Silvy had to leave for an event that he is hosting. Mike is brought to you by HawkAuto.com. Ford, Chevy, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Subaru, Cadillac, Mazda, and VW all in one place. HawkAuto.com, where Chicagoland saves big. Mike, we just had a very nice conversation with your friend Kevin Warren. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm anxious to hear about this. Don't tell me. Silvy's so scared of talking to me today that he bailed?
No, I believe he's got an event for the V Foundation. He actually extended his time here in the studio so that he could be part of the conversation with Kevin Warren. But, he was constantly changing, and, it was – but he's got something more important than just talking to me.
Of course.
Not so much you, but for me.
Well, how did it go with Kevin? That's what I want to know.
We had a nice conversation, and I'm really interested, Mike, because, first of all, like, we've had this banter back and forth about where the stadium was going to be built and the intentions from up at Hallis Hall with the McCaskies and with Kevin Warren now in charge. And obviously, you've been right all along, and the presentation today was about the renderings were spectacular.
Unbelievable.
They were.
I've been
How
looking
much
at
of
them,
it did you
staring at
see?
them all day, Tommy.
Yeah. I would ask you, Mike, because you are an advocate of the stadium being built on the lakefront. When you factor in the financials, how do you feel about the public having to be on the hook for the funding to the tune of about 50% of the project?
Yeah, I never know about that stuff. I'm not a policy wonk. I have mixed feelings about all of that, no matter where it is. I live in a state where Maryland, where the state built two stadiums, like, the Camden Yards place that everybody raves so much about, and the Ravens, which a lot of people think is the best of the modern football stadiums. Those were publicly funded. I have issues with some of that stuff, and that. But here's the thing. That piece of it wasn't going to change whether it was Arlington or the lakefront, because last I checked, Arlington hasn't ceded from Illinois to be part of Michigan or Ohio. So that ain't changing. It's still, not only that, I was a little surprised to find out early on in that discussion is Cook County. I thought it was Lake County. But anyway, I don't know. And I don't know enough about how that happens. I don't know what gets taxed, who gets taxed. I know people are often up in arms. I know in California they say they won't do it, yet stadiums are being built in California too. And I spend a lot of time in California. God knows a good amount of my tax dollar goes to California because so many shows are done there for ESPN. But I don't know. What to make of that. I don't know. I just know that, just because politicians say one thing publicly doesn't mean they're even saying the same things privately.
Well, the Bears
there ain't a politician in Illinois that doesn't want a Super Bowl, even though I don't, that doesn't want all the Big Ten championship games in Illinois. I actually think I do. But I don't know. I have to skip over that and listen to people who are a lot smarter than me, who understand whether that can get done, how, when, timely fashion, not. I'm not that political to have any real definitive feelings about it.
First of all, Kevin did confirm to us that, yes, in fact, they will apply for a Super Bowl, and they anticipate getting a Super Bowl when this stadium is built on the lakefront. So he wanted to make sure that I told you that it is going to happen, despite your pessimism about it.
Well, not pessimism, just I don't want it. It's not pessimism. I want an open-air stadium. We're not getting that either.
No, you're not. You're not getting that.
I know that. But I'm just saying, I don't want the Packers to be the only, tough guys in the NFC Central, as far as I'm concerned. They'll always be called that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see the Packers be the only team with that. But I know I'm not getting that either. There's a whole lot of stuff I want, but I don't get.
They have.
But I knew I was getting a stadium. If we get one, it's going to be where it should be, which is on the lakefront.
And they have committed to $2 billion plus of an investment of their own money into the project.
Yeah.
And I asked Kevin as well if, in fact, look, that there is wiggle room here because the city has been very receptive, and Brandon Johnson, the mayor, and a lot of his people are very receptive to this.
Yes,
it is being met with less enthusiasm in Springfield.
Of course. Yes, we know that.
So,
no surprise.
Yes, so the negotiation could still be taking place where maybe they will have to commit more private funds for this stadium.
Yes. Everything will be on the table to get this thing done. I'm reminded of a jingle that was popular when I was a kid, and I don't know why it came up to promote the state of Illinois, but it was a jingle when I was a kid, Tommy, and it went something like this: just outside your own back door, there's a place called Illinois. And it was basically speaking to Chicago to say, hey, you people don't get everything you want. There is another, there's a lot more territory than just Chicago. And so, we are advised by that. There's always that struggle. There's always that fight. There's always that tug of war, back and forth, pull and push. Again, I'll listen to it. I'll follow it.
Yeah.
I know that they said the stadium in Evanston wasn't going to be built. Northwestern was never going to make it because Evanston was going to oppose it to such a degree, which they did, but it's being built. I follow these things, Tommy. I don't get really sidetracked by them because, listen, I got somebody that grew up in the same household that I did who's a lot smarter than me, who is involved in that tug of war often with states and the public works that people want built, but there's opposition to it. My brother Don, being a J.P. Morgan person, and so I listen. I don't know enough to ever get passionate about this.
Is he willing to share his perspective on the timing of this? Because time is of the essence, as has been relayed to us by Kevin Warren, because, as he has said, the longer you push this out, the more expensive the project gets for them for the state as well. But how likely is it that they will find common ground with Springfield and that this thing can be done?
That's what I have no idea.
Because remember, the people of Kansas City voted it and said no.
Well, but if you read, look, I'm not equating that with Kansas City or this project or with Washington moving the Capitals and the Wizards. There were some things that were never a go. There was no support from anybody. Washington never had support. The place they wanted to move never supported it. So that was not going to happen. And for whatever time we spent on it, I think you guys asked me once on the air, maybe it was off air, and I said to you that's not going to happen. And Kansas City, from what I understood, was never going to happen. So that was that. This is a different thing. Is it going to happen? I don't know. Don't know enough about it. I hope it happens. I hope I live long enough to see that happen. I'm able to sit and watch games of all kinds and events of all kinds at our new arena, I hope.
Okay, on non-stadium related issues, I know you're not a huge fan of the lead up to the NFL draft, but do you have a little bit of juice flowing now, knowing that you're just a day away from the Bears selecting a quarterback first overall and making another pick at 9 that could affect their season as well?
I can tell that you've been too busy to watch Tony and me this week. All I have done is obsess over the draft for a week.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Every bit of minutia. We just had Booger McFarland on today. I was asking him, as a devotee of the 80s teams that won but threatened to win early, and even in the 70s when Dan Hampton was drafted. I think Dan Hampton's a year ahead of me, so maybe he was drafted in 79.
I think it was 79.
What's that? Am I right? Am I correct
think
about
so.
that?
I think it was 79. I may be wrong, but it sounds
so. So Dan Hampton, people won't remember. They remember a defensive end by the time Dan got deep into his Hall of Fame career. But Dan Hampton played in the middle early in his career, and this guy Byron Murphy, is that his name in Texas?
Yes, from Texas.
Like I look at him and I'm thinking, he's the kind of guy that there's no sex appeal to his name being announced, but he can change your football team. He can take you in a direction because, and again, I'm being an old man now. I'm going back to Dan Hampton because Dan Hampton wasn't the first building block because Walter was that, and some other linemen were that who came before Dan Hampton. But on that defensive side, on Buddy Ryan's defensive side, I guess Mike Hartenstein was already there, but Dan Hampton changed that. And I look at a guy like this kid from Texas, and I wonder. So yes, I am neck deep, like a lunatic, in every possible pick we could have, trading down. What I'd like to see us trade down and maybe if we could get a second or third round pick and wind up with a center or a guard and Worthy, the receiver from Texas. I got every combination I have stressed out over every day. I woke up thinking about this stuff at like 4 a.m. a couple of mornings ago, So no, this is not the usual me, Tommy, that hates
I
the
love
draft,
it. I
hates
love
the
it.
run up, all of it. All of it.
Yes.
I hate all of it, as you know.
Yes.
I love this, and I will never love it again after this, because we better be good for 10 years, and then I'll be dead, so it won't matter.
I will tell you this. You were the first person that told us, don't worry about Caleb Williams, the person.
I told you.
No, that's what I mean.
don't-
You told us that.
Yeah.
Obviously you already knew this from knowing his family, but
Yeah.
was there anything
And
that
him.
you saw through the interviews he's done or the interview he did with Ryan Clark on the pivot that just kind of reinforced
I didn't see
it?
any of that. I didn't need to see any of it. I have history with the people who taught this kid when he was 14 and 16. His teachers are my son's teachers. His guidance counselors, his school principal, his dean of students. I got all that. I don't need confirmation. Caleb Williams is a rock solid kid, child, now young adult, now adult, and so are his parents and his family and the environment he comes from. I didn't need confirmation of that. So I paid no attention. I spent no time on that. If the Bears were going to draft Caleb Williams, it was going to have nothing to do with any of that. So now we get to whether or not the Bears are the place that he can flourish and develop in the way that you hope any professional quarterback can develop. I like almost all the moves Ryan Poles has made. I like having the two veteran receivers who clearly are like mentor type guys who
Yes.
are up for that assignment. They've already demonstrated it. I like the attitude that the franchise has said, hey, we're going to nurture you. We're not going to bring a bunch of people in 5 at a time. We're going to get on with the business of developing and nurturing you. I'm all down with all that. And as I said originally and repeatedly, I wanted it to work with Justin Fields. But if it wasn't going to work with Fields, I'd be the first one buying a Caleb Williams jersey, and that is still the case.
Yes, I think Ryan Poles, as you intimated, has done a really nice job building a good infrastructure for a young quarterback to step into. A little bit of put the Bulls to rest conversation here. Anything surprise you in what you saw against the Heat, and I guess now what?
I was really disappointed in the Heat effort or non-effort. I was really disappointed in that. I saw Arturus' reaction the next day. Maybe I've been too patient. I don't know. I mean, look, this is – people can say whatever they want, and you and I are in the business of talking and listening and saying stuff ourselves, so we're in that business. I don't care what people are talking. I don't care. You have to scout worldwide and come up with a player. The Houston Rockets have done it. They came up with Shingun, excuse me for mispronouncing. They came up with a guy who looks like he might be the next Joker. They did it. So you have to do it too. You've got to come up with that, Bulls. That's the deal. And you might have some of that, like there's no way I would have kept, if it's true, and I'm told it is, that they turned down 2 draft picks, first round picks for Caruso. You can't make that call. You can't do that if that's true. So you got to have as many draft picks. Look at Oklahoma City. Look what they do. They go out, they amass all the draft capital they can. They go out and scout better than anybody, and then they execute that part of it, and they have the picks, the resources available to make a deal if there's somebody they want to supplement that. That's it. It's not about signing somebody. It's not about not getting LeBron in 2010. It's not about any of that. Draft and trade.
Yeah.
That's the deal. And so the Bulls have got to do that. Anything short of that, you can fire these people and hire new people. It won't matter. Can you go out and find 2 or 3 of the best players in the world? Look at Oklahoma City. Look at Jalen Williams. I don't know where Jalen Williams was drafted.
Right.
Did the Bulls have drafted him?
That I don't know, but I made the same statement to the guys a little bit before. I said, look, I don't know some of these guys that are doing fantastic things. I haven't followed them closely, but I want some of these guys. I want our group to identify some of these guys who can step into Bulls uniforms and make some of these differences.
Tommy, that's the only solution. You have to scout worldwide, and you have to draft with conviction, and then you have to develop. But you got to scout. It starts with that. So can they do that? Are they gonna I don't know spending. Like I don't know if the Bulls devote or is committed to that as much because the Bulls used to be ahead of this, and the person they decided to boo, fans decided to boo, Jerry Krause. I mean, Jerry Krause did this to the criticism of all kinds of people, and he did it successfully anyway, and that's why there was Tony Kukoc among others. So anyway, the Bulls story becomes where's the talent?
Yeah.
Is keeping DeMar DeRozan actually a wise thing or not? Is keeping Caruso a wise thing?
Yeah.
So look at the story on the Bears side of it, Tommy. It's the same. We got these picks. We have to do the right thing by these 2 picks.
Yeah.
Or whether the 9th pick is traded down and you wind up with 2 other, whatever the case is.
Get it right.
You have to procure talent and get it right.
That's
In
right.
the NBA, it's more important than any place else because there's less put into development than pro football or Major League Baseball with the minor league system. You have to do that right in pro basketball. And the Bulls, they got it right with Kobe White.
You got to get it right more frequently. That's
but not with Patrick Williams.
Yeah, that's true. Mike, we got to run. Here's hoping you enjoy what transpires tomorrow night. It should be fun. Bears are at the center of the NFL universe, so enjoy what you see tomorrow. Thanks, buddy.
I'm gonna enjoy it. Thanks, Tommy. Talk to you soon.
Take care. Michael Wilbon joins us every week. Always enjoy our conversations.